Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Yai, da, 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 bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom.
I was still muted. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good to see you or to be together and to share in this time, this peaceful time, this beautiful day that we are concluding as we welcome Shabbat, where the sun shined brightly and warmed our spirit, warmed our soul, and in a sense, I felt, gave us some hope, lifted us up. It's good to be together as a community, as always. And as we love to do, since we can't reach across the pews and introduce ourselves and welcome another we haven't seen in a while, let's put that in the chat. Let's greet one another, tell each other we're here, where we're coming from. I love after services looking over that and seeing all the connections that are happening and who's been chatting it up during services and enjoying connecting together, because it's about being a community. And yes, a year into this, what makes us, Cantor, me, Rabbi, most proud is the fact that we have sustained our community. We have been in this together and held on to each other through this. And that's what Shabbat is, a moment to have that perspective, to reflect on it. Maybe after a short week, a long week, sometimes the short ones seem long. I don't know. It's strange. It's unbelievable that it's been a year, right? We all sort of are in awe of that perspective that we've been doing this for so long. But Shabbat's been our checkpoint, our chance just to breathe, to reflect, and remind ourselves of really, what matters most, the blessings that we do have together. So this is a Kaya service. It's a meditation service, a briefer service that we love to do on Friday nights. If you want to follow along with prayers, you can get them in the resource section of our website or on the YouTube page. Of course, you can just hum along, you can sing along, you can close your eyes, you can pour yourself a glass of wine, you can just enjoy Shabbat in whatever way feels right for you, whether it's sitting during prayers, whether it's standing, up to you. But now, just make it your Shabbat, make it your time. So breathe in deep. Breathe out slowly. Breathe in God's gift to each and every one of us. Breathe out our gift to this very world. It's Shabbat. This moment, take the time to focus on these blessings that truly are there.
Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with our world. Nachamu, Ami, Yomar.
wonder what was going on in the world as Isaiah the prophet spoke those words, saying, God will comfort us, that God's presence will be with us. The world around him was crumbling. Isaiah spoke of the potential of the destruction of the temple. Everything they knew would fall apart. Yet he somehow still understood there are reserves within, that God is within. There are some who have asked questions this year. How is it possible? Where's God in the midst of these struggles? I think Shabbat's that reminder that God is in each of us and what we bring to this community, what we bring to one another, how we hold each other and lift each other up, and the resiliency that sustains us, that helps us get through these difficult times, what gives us hope. Look at what our people endured over 2,000 years ago, but how they did not only sustain their faith, but recreate their faith. So as you pray tonight, as you sing tonight, as you meditate tonight, as you rest tonight, think about what we recreate. What's different for us that will always be different, but maybe that will make into something positive. Look, for us at Temple, we recognize connecting through our online platforms. It works. Is it what we would choose? Not necessarily. We'd rather be sitting here together, holding hands and hugging after services, sharing wine at Kiddush in person. But when we can't, we've created something that works. And you know what? When we get back together in person soon, we're still going to have this too, because not everyone can get to services all the time. And so we want to stay connected. This works. I want you to keep thinking of those positives, of these moments that have reminded you of the reserves that are there. As you hear those words, Nachamu, remind yourself of how you have reserves, you have strength, and that helps comfort you because God is within.
Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem.
That carry us as we join together with our prayers for Shabbat, as we come together with the call to worship.
Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
I was doing a little electrical work this week. That sounds so harrowing, I know. Changing some switches. And more times than not, I was successful. But in one room, I wasn't having success. And then came nighttime and figured I'll ask someone, I'll get help, I'll figure it out later. And I went into that room later on to put something away, and I went to flip the lights on, and there was no light, and it was pitch black. And I cursed myself for my inability to get this done and stood there in darkness. And I'm thinking about that because all I had to do was back up and then go into the room before and turn that light on, so enough light bled into the room I needed to see what I had to do, because we have light around us all the time. All right, we call it light pollution now in our cities, because you can't really get darkness to see into the night sky. But when the prayer Hashkivenu, the prayer that we say, let us lie down in peace, God, and permit us to wake up in the security of knowing that we're safe and loved, when it was written, there were no lights to turn on. When the sun set, darkness was everywhere, immersed us. Yes, there were oil lamps, there was ways to create light, but it wasn't the convenience that we feel. It's hard for us to understand, to appreciate what that darkness might have meant. And the reality is, if you have one little lamp, you can't see very far beyond yourself, beyond what's right in front of you, the sounds that are being heard. We hear something outside, we flip the outside lights on. We're driving, we put our brights on. We're able to see in the darkness, but imagine if we couldn't. And that's part of where faith came from for our ancestors, because they said, okay, we don't know what lies beyond 4 feet ahead that we can't see, but we want the sun to rise. We want the breath to envelop us. We want to be okay. Despite all of the challenges that swirl around the world, it was the simplicity of just saying we want to be okay. That life is scary. That living is frightening. And it's much better to go through it with a sense of faith that can help us and give us hope and lift us up. And so came this prayer. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, va'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, spread over us wellness of wholeness, so even in darkness.
Let there be love and understanding Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Lishalom. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Leshalom. V'ha'amidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Lishalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Be our shelter from life's storms.
Part of the shelter that we create is in the routine in our lives, the ritual, things that are regular in a sense. And Shabbat is part of that ritual as well. Part of what helps us is marking our week with that time of Shabbat to say, as Friday approaches, that we can distinguish between something holy and that which is regular. And it gives us that perspective that is so important in our lives, that reminder of what we need. I think the poem that we sing in a moment that our friend Dan Nichols put to this melody, the poem written by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, is saying just that in a sense, in the regular routine of our week, suddenly Shabbat blows in as if it's a thought, as if it's just making us aware that something's different, but it comes every week. And it helps us all in reflecting and helping us remember what matters most. Because if we just are on that wheel, and that rat race, and just doing, we sometimes forget, sometimes lose that perspective of what really matters most. So as we prepare for the Amidah, our routine, our regular, our ritual, our central prayer of worship, think about what we do to make this time holy as that thought breathes into our lives.
The thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night. thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Adonai sefatai tiftach upi agid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, ve'Elohei Rachel. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umchaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Midst of our prayers, we gather as a community, so our thoughts turn to those in need of healing and strength. So we mention the names out loud of those we're thinking of in our congregation, in our community, linking ourselves with them. And just as our tradition, our Torah, our connections gives us hope and strength, so we hope these prayers help in the most difficult of times. Mishiberach, Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel. Hu yivrech et cholim. Merciful God, who's blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to our loved ones who are stricken with illness and anxiety, especially those family and friends we think of at this time. Larry Burke and Grace Geraldine Carafelli, Karen Kasman, Margaret Kosha, Lindsay Cooper, Molly Cotint, Barbara Estrig, Barb Flair, Sandy Flair, Karen Garassi, Kathy Gilman, Joseph Goldring, Goldring, Sandy Gorosh, Batia Bapesha Panina, Susan Greenberg, Charles Gross, Sherry Gutter, Susan Goralnik, Hank Heiser, Helen Indiana, Jane Jacobs, Bruce Kay, Ephraim Kessler, Paulette Coffrin, Serafina Coffrin, Marta Lazar, Henry Leopold, Josh Lubeck, Michael Malley, Zoe Marcus, Beth Margolin, Joyce Mazza, Perry Moss, Laurie Moss, Scott Miles, Kate Negron, Rabbi Robert Nosenchuk, Razel Batlea Miriam, Margie Penzine, Melanie Pohl, James Raftery, Arthur Reish, Joanne Reed, Raymond Reif, Jody Richmond, Alan Rosen, the St. Amand family, the Shepperly family, Amy Selmanoff, Danny Shepard, Arnold Slutsky, Barbara Storm, Helene Wolf, as well as all those battling the coronavirus, both at home and in the hospital. The 53,117 American troops have been injured in Iraq and Afghanistan to date. All the names as well in our hearts. Baruch atah narafel cholim. Blessed be God, give strength to those in
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
we have done for this past year, so we add to our prayers, this one particularly for the healers, for those who help. Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu v'Imotenu, may the one who's blessed our ancestors bless all those who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, physicians and nurses and orderlies, technicians and home health aides, EMTs and pharmacists, hospital social workers, respiratory therapists, who navigate unfolding dangers of this world each day to tend to those they've sworn to help. Bless them in their coming home. Bless them in their going out. Ease their fear, sustain them. Bless the sacred work of their hands. May this plague pass from among us speedily and in our days. And let us say,
Amen.
Continuing with our prayers of adoration and conclusion as we rise together.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ,
Kaddish in no way mentions death, though it became and is our statement of faith. So we read names of those who have died recently, those who have died, and this being the Yortzeit, the anniversary of their passing, linking ourselves with them on this Shabbat. But their names, what I ask of you is that I know many of these names are connected to you. And so I want you to think of a story of that person, a memory of how that individual touched your life. Maybe a friend, maybe a parent, grandparent, someone connected to you by blood, someone who became like family, but someone who touched you. Share that story on the Shabbat with another so they know how you become who you are because of the lives that have been connected to us. And doing that, that is our Kaddish. That is our statement of faith. That is our blessing. So with that in mind, we think of those who've been taken from our families of our congregation in this past month. Hushoshim, we mark. Sally Bailey, Al Castle, Gary Fishman, Mona Rosenbaum, Irving Cohen, Francisco Leyva, Ian Cascade, Ezra Zakalik, Gloria Siegel Stolier, Ilo Seidman, Daryl Bressick, Nisi Conroy, John Goldstein, Sam Tolchin, Cy Goodman, Asia Arkady, Fanny Zuckerman, as well as the 7,038 Americans of our armed forces who've been killed in Iraq and Afghanistan and the surrounding areas to date, and the 531,276 Americans who've lost their lives to the coronavirus. Linking their names with names whose Yortzeits we mark on the Shabbat. Those anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate. Sylvia Barr, Stanley Bass, Natalie Bielefeld, Alan Blumberg, Harry Deutsch, Morris DeBruzen, Beulah Falk, Albert Gautreaux, Lillian Gare, Sylvia Glantz, Rana Gordon, Pamela Gottlieb, Ann Hershen, Max Hershen, Molly Heckler, Carol Garber Hornig, Esther Horvitz, Lee Howard, Rosalie Kanarik, Clara Katz, Martha Gajewski, Irene Kleinbard, Robert Weldon Knight, Philip Lazar, Edward Levine, Jeanette Lutvak, Dorothy Lynn, Eileen Manko, Edna Minkin, Melvin Mintz, Lee Menashkin, Henry Popper, Beth Ruskin, Lorraine Sales, Michael Sampson, Siegfried Schaefer, Martin Schiffer, and Sue Schwartz, Gibby Schwartz, Jean Shapiro, Gertrude Shore, Eugene Simon, Jack Stahl, Hillary Tarr, Dr. John Tepfer, Sarah Webster, Harry Wilson, Miriam Zacks. And linking their names, all the names that we did not recite on the Shabbat. Those are every faith and family, those lives that have touched ours, as well as those who have no one to stand and say Kaddish for them. So do we join together in the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Bialma Divrach Hirate, Bialmich Malchute. V'chayachon of Yomechon u'chayei dechot Beit Yisrael. Agalal uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavarach Olam Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'nadar v'nalev v'nalal Shemei Kudesha Berechu. V'yamin kol berachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata. Daram v'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shomo Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mamav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. The source of peace, and peace to those who mourn. Comfort to those who are bereaved here and everywhere. And let us say,
Amen. Oseh shalom bimrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Good
Shabbat
Shabbos.
shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
My spelling is, oh, thank you, Leah, for the clapping. Appreciate that with us and our singing. Always good. And my comments, of course, spell check didn't work too well on my Shabbat. I tried. But if you want to throw a Tish question in there, you can at this time. But a few things to share with all of you. Of course, services tomorrow morning. First 9:15, we have Tish. Service at 10:30. 10 o'clock on Zoom for our Sunday morning minyan. On Monday morning musings, I have two of the most favorite people in my world. Two of the five that probably make me laugh the most. My good friend Dan Nichols, who often is an artist in residence here, and Rabbi Sanford Kopnick, mentor of mine, who's a rabbi at Valley Temple in Cincinnati. And the two of them have a show every Sunday, either at 9 a.m. or at 1 p.m. called Pancakes with San and Dan. And it's just a half an hour reflection of fun. And these guys, we've all been together at camp for years. And again, lots of laughter, but little behind the scenes of what goes into what they create and how special their relationship is and what they've been doing these past months during the pandemic. That's made it special. On Monday, we have our first in the three-part series, the cooking class, which is with our chef Hobby and our caterer Paul Wirtz, and adding some spice to our Passover favorites. Not literally making it spicy, but making it fresh and innovative, and what you might want to try with that too. That's on Monday evening. You want to register for that in advance. And we have a food drive in a week from Sunday for Pesach, supporting our kosher food pantry and others as well. And so that's from 12 till I don't know the times in the afternoon, but you see all that in our emails. Or you can shoot 12 to 4 p.m. Wow, it's like you know what I'm thinking. And you can drop off food for that as well. Questions you might or might not have in our last 3 minutes. You're welcome, Tony Kaplan. Appreciate that very much, and good to see that you're with us tonight. Love hearing from you. And Paulette, will you be at Monday Morning Musings or at the cooking class? That's what I want to know. Paulette Coffin, I think if we have an award for this year for most attended of everything we do, right? Paulette and engaged, and I feel like we've been through this almost every day together. And yes, Leah, you are correct. Sanford went to Oak Park. He grew up at Temple Israel, and it's really, we have fun stories because growing up at camp, he used to talk about the synagogue he grew up at and the adventures there. I had never sat foot in Michigan before Daniel and Alan Minlin brought me back here for an interview in March of 1995. Never been to Michigan in my entire life, let alone to Temple Israel or Temple Shir Shalom or anything. And so it was sort of fun and seeing the things that he shared with me come to life as well. But you'll meet Sanford through Monday Morning Musings. It's a fun kibbutz, and he's a great teacher, been a real mentor to me. He was ordained as a rabbi in 1990, 5 years before me. And he was just a real great individual as I went through the interview process, because he had a wonderful relationship with Daniel. And he said to me, I think that you could work well with Daniel and you would have fun with him, and encouraged me. And I was interviewing also at the same time to take Sanford's old job in downtown Chicago. And he helped me, really think through these things too. So you'll meet these two gentlemen, and they'll get to share with us. Let me know a couple things as well. Thank you, Steve Chadwick, for sharing about who you're thinking of at Kaddish and the stories there and the power of those memories. Thinking about who else could be with me, teaching with me at Monday Morning Musings, as well as things that you want to learn as we talk about the classes that we're teaching. We're doing another Israel course with our friend Benny, and we're actually going to do another wine tasting with Benny and with one of the vintners in Israel. And so we want you guys to sign up for that so you can get your wines in time. It will not be a Passover wines. It will be after Pesach, but it'll be a nice springtime thing. Maybe we do it outside, even gather in different people's backyards if the weather permits. Nice opportunity. And lastly, Passover is just 16 days away, 15 days away. On Saturday night, it's the first night of Pesach. If you are looking for a Zoom Seder, we can try to connect you with one of those. But our community, Temple Shir Shalom Zoom Seder, with Cantor Rabbi and me, and all of you who want to be a part of it, is on Sunday night. And yes, some are blessed to have gotten the vaccine and have the privilege to be together with certain others who have the vaccine, and that's wonderful, and it's really fortunate. But a lot of us don't yet, and so therefore, we want to make sure everyone's still being cautious and careful, and so that's why we're having our community Seder on Zoom. So the question about when might we be together in person, we're looking towards May as an opportunity to gather outside for our services. So, but we haven't put all those pieces together. We have a wonderful group of physicians, nurses, and individuals involved in the science of this to help us make this decision and when's best. Almost forgot, Tuesday is the third master speaker in our series that will be with us talking about, Dr. Zagalnik is talking about really like nature versus nurture and the predictability of and unpredictability of life, and how in his studies as a scientist, sociologist, and how this all looks together. So Dr. Matt Zagalnik will be with us, and that's going to be really fascinating. It's a Zoom, or it's a webinar, but it's through Zoom, so you need to sign up for that. So please do, so you can get that link. I'm really impressed with what he's written, a Princeton professor, and he'll be sharing as well. Thank you, Audrey, putting this in the chat behind the scenes. Audrey Bloomberg, our programming assistant, one of our staff and team here at Temple, working the things behind the scenes today, as so often she's doing. When she said, I'll do Friday night Shabbat services, that's not a problem. Back in March of 2020, who thought the pandemic would keep going? But she's been with us almost every Friday night. So thanks, Audrey. Appreciate all the hard work and doing that as well. Well, as Mindy Nathan mentions, yes, Jonas Semino has a bar mitzvah tonight in about 12 minutes. So I've got to run. Cantor's got to run. Got to robe up and enjoy that bar mitzvah too. Hey, you can watch that on YouTube as well. Give thanks for the sweetness of this day as we gather and join with Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim, everyone.
Be blessed.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you. May God protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light shine upon you and shine through you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha vayesem lecha shalom.
And always be a part of who we are, bringing us together as a community, giving us that reserve, that strength, that hope.
Vayesem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.